Guys, I'm upset and disappointed. That's why we're not doing our normal intro today. Blizzard, for Phase 3 launch facade, has made a few what I think are catastrophic errors to the game, some very terrible judgments, and it just has me sad for the Phase 3 of Season of Discovery, because some of the most iconic 5-man dungeons that people remember fondly are in here, and some really awesome content that, is just really fun to do, but they completely, utterly obliterated it by releasing Nightmare Incursions in the state that they were in. And luckily, they gave us some awesome hotfixes coming soon, and that's what today's video is going to be about. So I'm not even going to tell you to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm just going to go right into the patch notes. So without further ado, here we go. So we are over here at the patch notes, and it says, we hope everyone's enjoying Nightmare Incursions. We wanted to give you an explanation for this adjustment. We always intended Nightmare Incursions to be a very valuable source of experience, but we didn't intend for it to be so much better in forms of gaining experience from level 40 to 50, and we have become concerned Nightmare Incursions might overshadow everything else in the game, so we're making an adjustment Monday to increase the magnitude of Discoverer's Delight. So we're still working through the percentage, but we will adjust. We're likely going to increase the 40 to 49, 50 experience buff from all sources to 75%, and then to offset this, we are reducing the amount of experience gained from Nightmare Incursions. You'll get reduced in pretty much Nightmare Incursions will stay the same because they're reducing it, but they're making the XP gain higher. And so that's kind of the offset that they're doing. So instead of making Nightmare Incursions suck, they're going to be making everything else better, which isn't bad. But they said, we love Nightmare Incursions. We think they're a flavorful, fun addition to SOD, but we totally recognize we run the risk of too much of a good thing becoming stale to players, particularly leveling multiple characters, as they are currently such a strong source of experience. We wanted to let you know this ahead of time, however, so if you're enjoying Nightmare Incursions as is, you can continue as you have been through the rest of the weekend before we offset these XP gains to other things. We want to thank everyone for participating in our SOD experiment. We will go into each next phase with ambitious plans, but sometimes some aspects of the game have rough edges that require us to make adjustments on the fly and correct as is. So, and we can't wait for more of you to get into Sunken Temple this weekend and are eager to share information on Phase 4 with us. So, my biggest things with Phase 3 and how badly they messed this up. Usually I'm a very positive person and I like making positive, helpful content, not covering negative stuff like this, even though it does really well for whatever reason. My biggest concerns is, one, Phase 3 pre-patch even, the dual spec failure. Like, they put it in a neutral PvP location, so on every PvP server it became a massive problem. People were forming raids to try to guard it, layering, whatever. That's a little fun. However, if you're in combat when you did it, you would just lose 50 gold and you wouldn't get your dual spec. Well, you know what they said? That sucks. Like, they did disable the vendor and they moved it to a city, but they just took your 50 gold. You're not getting it back. Then, for Phase 3 launch, we had Nightmare Incursions were BIS Gold, they were BIS XP, and the BIS Gold was insane. You could have farmed your epic mount. People told me they farmed thousands and thousands of gold in the comments on the Nightmare Incursion video, in Twitch chat, like they were saying, hey, why aren't you doing this? You should go do it. Personally, to me, I had a great time leveling in ELDEN doing duo. I was fine, but having something be so game-breakingly BIS, and even more regards to that, you can even level all 3 gathering professions in there too. So, like, it is BIS to literally sit in Nightmare Incursions for 8 hours a day for every character that you want to do it on. So you just have to just blast them, and I know that, yes, you don't have to do it, but there's a huge amount of FOMO here in Season of Discovery, and a huge obsession in Classic to do what's best, to be BIS. Otherwise, you get made fun of and people call you an idiot for doing anything that's not better. Whatever's most gold per hour, whatever's most EXP per hour, it has been min-maxed so hard that people play the game that way to an extreme degree. And so when you introduce something new, and I liked Nightmare Incursions. I thought it was super cool to actually make use of those portals to run through them and then see an Emerald Dream. And they even used the unused Emerald Dream assets from original Vanilla WoW, which I thought was really awesome, you know, actually taking new things and putting them in there to discover whether or not, yes, I do realize the zones are exactly the same, it's just an overlay and the mobs are different, but it's still really awesome to experience that type of, you know, change in classic WoW. But the problem is you made it so good, and you're not, the people that didn't go day one and didn't get thousands of gold really feel left out. It inflates the economy so bad. People are posting direct examples of like the cost of stuff going up almost 50 silver to a gold per. Like with Mithril Ore, I saw an example. Some dude said it was 20 silver before the launch. Now it's 75 like per ore. So just those changes impact it. And when thousands of people farm thousands of gold, it is a real bummer for anyone who didn't, one, do this, or two, go into it. So I think Blizzard should either completely revert it, let everyone just free for all, screw it, everyone can have as much gold as they want and can buy everything they're ever going to need, or you take away the gold from the people who did it there because it was unintended, it was a mistake. I understand those things happen. I understand SOD. I understand, you know, I can give the devs some leeway, but I also want to be completely honest with myself and the devs. Like, they messed up terribly, and it's going to cost the game severely, and I don't like that. I hate that. And then, not even to mention Sunken Temple. My god, the mobs in there, HP was so high, they were higher than Black Temple mobs. At level 50, we should not be fighting Black Temple trash and mobs. Like, that is a whole nother expansion away. Like, I hope they just say, yeah, it was a troll, just so people wouldn't rush to 50 and kill the boss in a certain amount of time. Like, that's what I hope they say. That would be an honest, fair answer, and it'd be kind of funny. But having to, like, no average guild is going to be able to kill that. The Nota players are some of the best players in the world, and they finally got it down after they nerfed it by 25%. And they're still the only ones, from what I have seen at the time of recording this a day later, that have killed it. So it is just, I don't know what they're doing, man. They have such a beautiful thing. The sub numbers are at an all-time high, and I don't think it's because of retail at all. Like, it's mind-baffling to me to, like, risk it all on so many mess-ups. Like, I understand that there's no PBE, there's no way to test it, but, like, I don't know, play the game. Like, if you played the game, you would see how, like, the difference between the devs and the players is at an all-time high. It really feels like that. And I hate saying that because I love the devs. I love how communicated they are. And I'll give them props on fixing these mistakes rapid. But it feels like they're rushing the phases so fast, or they are, like, they're just not thinking everything through. And I don't know how big their team is. I want to give them as much praise and leeway as possible. But at the end of the day, I also got to be critical of the game I love and what I would like to see better. And I hope some of you guys agree with these points. I'm kind of on our tangent here. I don't really like doing content like this because it's so negative and I hate bashing the game I love. But let me know what you think in the comments down below, because this is such a mess, and I truly hope it gets better before everyone quits the game. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, I'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. It truly means a lot to me. If you happen to find anyone that you know would also benefit from watching this video, please share it with them. It helps me out a ton and allows me to keep doing what I love every single day, and that is gaming and sort of helping people any way that I can. So finally, thank you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Goodbye. Good morning, evening, or afternoon, everybody. It's Cago coming at you with another video. So today I'm going to be talking about a very interesting situation that has occurred and just want to sort of hear what you guys have to say. And it's going to be revolving around the server Chaos Bolt being shut down and them allowing free transfers over here to Crusader Strike and the sort of implications that has. But before we get into the video, I just want to say happy Easter to everyone. You know, this video is going to be late for you guys because I have been out with my family, had a nice lunch, and so I just got back and we had a wonderful celebration. So I hope you guys also have a very happy Easter as well. But before we get into the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Everything you guys do helps my channel grow, helps me get discovered, and helps me help as many people as possible, which is the entire point of my channel. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So we are going to switch it over here to the blue post that Blizzard made, and there are a lot of comments in this that I also want to go over. But here is the blue post. It says free character moves for Chaos Bolt US. So at the beginning of Season Discovery, we reassured you that there was no wrong choices for realms, and if that any realms population started falling off disproportionately, we would enable free character moves off that realm. Holding to that promise, we have opened free character moves from Chaos Bolt US RP PvP realm to Crusader Strike US RP PvP realm with this week's maintenance. Additionally, new player character creation has been disabled on Chaos Bolt US. These transfers are not time limited, and PvP enforced faction balance remains in effect on Crusader Strike. Thank you. So this last line kind of sucks that these transfers are not time limited, so like it lasts forever. But since they're still enforcing the faction balance, I don't know the health of Chaos Bolt, but it definitely could be a problem. You know, I mean it changes every day what's locked and not, so like if you can only transfer a few characters over, that would suck. Or if like half your guild is able to transfer it and the other half is not, that'd be really, really crappy. So I kind of don't like that, because it's like sure, yes, it's a free transfer, but it's also kind of a problem. Actually, when I was starting to make my character here, judging by Wrath of the Lich King and what happened with that, because when Wrath launched, they made a ton of servers for people to go to because Faralina had like 4-hour queue times. Crusader Strike had the same thing around launch, and it had very long queue times at peak hours like weekends and stuff, and there's tons of people playing it. But they made another one, Chaos Bolt, to try to get a bunch of people to go there, and you know, after a few months it dies, and that's exactly what happened on Wrath. So it's very, like, I know it's a solution and it's healthy, but it kind of sucks that these servers always die. So I made the choice to stay on Crusader Strike personally. So let's go down here to some of the comments. There's one right here from Hoofer. He said, hello, I have an Alliance character on Crusader Strike and a Horde character on Chaos Bolt. Am I still able to move my Horde character to Crusader Strike? And then a bunch of people, same here, what do people like us do? I wanted to answer this so bad, it causes so many problems. A lot of people did something like this, one way or the other. Many who were playing both factions, myself included, now have a horrible choice to make. I would feel it would be in good taste for them to allow both factions on Crusader Strike in recognition of this. People have months of time on characters, and they are now forced to pick favorites and delete the unfavorite. That's not good business practice. Same about 3-stranded characters. Yeah, so that was one of the comments that I truly, you know, empathized with. Obviously, I only have characters on Crusader Strike, but if I was in a problem like that, that would be such a terrible situation to find yourself in. And, you know, if any of you guys are on Chaos Bolt, I would love to hear what your situation is. And then more broadly, do you guys like when Blizzard does this stuff, or do you just prefer one mega server for everyone to play on? I mean, that's what I think would be the very best thing for them to do. But I don't know how viable that is because we see queue times and stuff. But I will say, after like the first week or two, I haven't really experienced a queue here on Crusader Strike. So it seems to be working with the population stuff, and it does seem to be very, very healthy. But I just wanted to make that, you know, you guys aware of that and show you guys what was going on and sort of what you guys might think about it. So definitely let me know what you think of this server transfer down below in the comments. But until next time, guys, I truly hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. It truly means a lot to me. If you happen to find anyone that you know would also benefit from watching this video, please share it with them. It helps me out a ton and allows me to keep doing what I love every single day, and that is gaming and sort of helping people any way that I can. So finally, thank you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Goodbye.
In Season of Discovery, there's lots of new content, but with it, they've also introduced new lore within the classic WoW universe, along with mysterious implications and call forwards to lore that will occur in the future events of Warcraft. Now, I won't be going over every new tidbit of lore introduced, but I will be going into the stories that interest me the most, starting off with murder. Within the desolate fields of Desolus, players can stumble upon a crime scene. Here they find 2 dead humans and a dwarf. Their wounds and the absence of their belongings suggest that this was not done by a wild animal. During their investigation, players question a nearby goblin, Bibli Futzbuckle, who explains that this is not the first time this has happened. In fact, it seems the only people targeted in these attacks are humans and dwarves. The attacks only stopped when an Alliance Marshal started investigating the area. Futzbuckle suggests players should travel to a port town to try and catch the people who did this. And when players travel to Booty Bay, there's an orc who explains that she was a mercenary hired to attack those Alliance members in Desolus, and the person that hired her left to go to their secret hideout in Arathi Highlands once the Alliance Marshals started investigating. This hideout is a remote location off the coast, separated from the zone. Players find the culprit, Ilari Duskfeather, and ask if she was the one that killed those Alliance citizens. And she says, yes, and she'd do it again. Players ask, why? You're a night elf, you're also a part of the Alliance. And in response, she goes,
Kalimdor belongs to the Kaldori. I refuse to see it defiled by the lesser races. Our leaders act as if the Alliance and the Horde are so different, but they debase our lands all the same. Do you not see how the dwarves plunder the earth for all that they can? Do you not think the human appetite for expansion will not bring them to the foot of Teldrassil one day? Blades and torches in hand? To think, my people bow to those vermin over a few orcish lumber camps. Pathetic. If our leaders cannot protect us, then I will do what must be done.
Horde and Alliance players will then be forced to fight Ilari Duskfeather, which can prove to be difficult because of her high level. During the fight, right before she is killed, she vanishes away, leaving a key on the ground that players can pick up to open a chest which contains a rune. But if you're a night elf, you have a dialogue option where you can agree with Ilari's viewpoint and she'll just give you the key. And I love this character. You know, I've mentioned in previous videos that there's a distinct disconnect between night elves being these prudish, holier-than-thou tree huggers in Warcraft 3, and then they're just nice tree huggers in Warcraft. And I feel like this quest does an awesome job at addressing that. And since no matter what option you pick, Ilari survives, I'm sure we'll see her again in the future phases of Season of Discovery. Hiding in Thunderbluff, there's a newly added NPC, unknown to many players. Concealed in stealth, Borton Shade Totem is a Tauren rogue that tasks players with a quest to sabotage the local Harpies and Ventureco mercenaries in Mulgore. Now, Borton Shade Totem is actually a character introduced in the Dragonflight expansion when rogues became an available class to every playable race in the game, and Borton Shade Totem is the rogue trainer in Thunderbluff. And the perplexing thing is when players talk to him in Season of Discovery, he says, I speak to you from your future. When the Horde faces threats you cannot imagine. Since others cannot see me, I rely on you to learn my skills and pass them to the tribe. Which I guess indicates that not only is Borton Shade Totem a rogue, but he's also a time traveler that has ventured back to the classic WoW timeline to warn players about the next 9 World of Warcraft expansions. How did he manage to travel back in time? I'm not really sure, but this also isn't the only instance of time-traveling characters within the Season of Discovery. During each phase of Season of Discovery, players can craft an epic quality void-touched item. During Phase 1, this involved a long quest line that took players into the Black Fathom Deeps into a secret area underwater to loot an item simply called the Box. The next part of the quest line involves traveling to a remote area above the Ravenholt Manor in the Hillsbrad foothills, where there's this giant glowing crystal. Here, you destroy the box, and what remains after is a void crystal, and then out of nowhere, a shadowy figure appears. This shadowy figure is of a female high elf, who explains to players that what they hold is a powerful artifact that could be used to their advantage, and at first, the player character is apprehensive with the use of such evil. But you can also craft epic quality armor with it, so who cares? You know what? Curse me with your void knowledge. Now, the speculation amongst the community is that this is Xalatath, a void entity that is going to be one of the main antagonists in the War Within expansion. The reasoning behind this is that it's a void being in the guise of an elf, and she also has a curvy blade. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But if this is the case, that would mean that she is probably traveling back in time to the events of Classic WoW, because during Classic, her essence was bound within the blade of the Black Empire. Which makes sense, you know, time travel and void shenanigans go hand in hand. Now, there is a way that this could be Xalatath during the Classic WoW timeline that doesn't involve time travel, but somehow it's more contrived than time travel. And then during Phase 2 of the Season of Discovery, the shadowy figure returns in the next questline that involves crafting a piece of epic void-touched armor. This questline involves charging a void core. Players find a void core by killing Nagas on an island in Feralos, but this void core isn't charged with power. In order to charge it, you kinda just need to have the void core in your bags and kill any mobs anywhere in the world, and eventually the shadowy figure will appear and offer to charge the crystal for the player. And in return, she expects the player to help her in the future. The loot-hungry players agree, of course. So now we are in the shadowy figure's debt, and I'm sure that she'll be returning in the future phases of Season of Discovery and ask a favor from us. A favor which will probably be morally dubious at best. The Deadwind Pass is an obscure zone within Classic WoW. It's a barren wasteland you must venture through to get from Duskwood to the Swamp of Sorrows. But in Season of Discovery, it's where players travel to begin a worldwide investigation. Near the entrance of one of the zones, there's a Dalaran agent who explains that there's been a heist of the city of Dalaran's artifacts. Somehow, someway, they were able to sneak past the giant magical bubble protecting the city to do this. The Dalaran scryers detected the presence of 7 hooded figures on a horseback, matching the legend of the Dark Riders of Karazhan. Players are given a trinket, Arden's Sigil, in order to detect their dark presence and hunt them down. The legend of the Dark Riders is a tragic one. Long ago, a group of charlatan merchants, led by a man named Arden, settled in Deadwind Pass. And these swindling salesmen approached the Tower of Karazhan, where Medivh, the Guardian, and the most powerful mage in Azeroth lived. And they tried to convince him to buy these totally fake, not magical artifacts. Little did they know, Medivh had gone mad, possessed by the demonic titan Sargeras, and he cursed these charlatans, turning them into the Dark Riders, and they've haunted Azeroth ever since in search of real, priceless artifacts. Now, the Dark Riders have been mentioned in passing ever since Classic WoW, but most players probably remember them in the Legion expansion, because they play a key role in the artifact weapon questlines for the weapons Apocalypse, the Scythe of Elune, and Yuthalesh. But in Season of Discovery, Arden's Sigil helps players track down each of these riders, and they might need some help from other players to kill them because of their elite status. You'll have to travel to Deadwind Pass, the Swamp of Sorrows, Duskwood, Badlands, Arathi Highlands, the Barrens, and Desolus. So it's a very travel-intensive process. But when players return to the Dalaran Agent, they will be rewarded with one of their class runes, and probably really sore feet. And this quest is just yet another sprinkle of lore to experience. But it isn't the only new content that involves a ridiculous amount of walking. The Sleeping Bag questline is a newly added piece of content that rewards players with, well, a sleeping bag that gives you an XP bonus. I'm sure if you've played Season of Discovery, you've done it before, but hey, let's be honest, did you actually read the quest text? No, of course you didn't. This adventure starts in Westfall, where you find a scene of burnt remnants and a note that says, "Not all that burns is lost. Find the Twin Land. Find the place." That location is on the other side of the world, in the Barrens, where we find a similar scene of burnt remains. Here, another note reads, "The mission said they were both making deliveries for new plague. Looks like simple apothecary accidents to me. Find my cozy spot in the mountains between the Barrens and Desolus if you want a safe place to talk." This new plague is a chemical gas that the Undead Apothecary Society was concocting that is most well known for being used in the Wrathgate cinematic in the Wrath of the Lich King expansion. But really, the Undead loved using this stuff for the whole expansion. But also this new plague was mentioned in multiple quests in Classic WoW. Like in the Hillsbrad Foothills, where you help a member of the Royal Apothecary Society who says, and I quote, "I look out my grimy window and long for the days our new plague brings this world the death it deserves." And then you force feed it to a dog and kill it. God, I just love when Forsaken are so comically edgy and evil. Okay, sorry, I got distracted there. So, when you're doing the Sleeping Bag quest, you travel from the Stone Town Mountains to the Lochmadan Dam, and then there's another note stating that the writer is loyal to the Eagle and Fist, which is the symbol of the Kingdom of Stromgarde. You get more hints that lead you to Thoradin's Wall, and there is another note that states that this mysterious writer must take his work back underground, so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. And at this little base camp, players get their sleeping bag. And that's the end of the quest. But keen players will realize that they're being watched. Look at one of the sections of Thoradin's Wall, and you'll spot two secret agents spying on you. And one is tagged as a beast, and they're also level 77, so maybe they're part of the SI7 agents from Stormwind? But wait, it gets weirder. These secret agents are all around Azeroth, spying on the player from afar. As far as I know, there are 4 different locations. There's one here at Thoradin's Wall, another on a seemingly random island in the Swamp of Sorrows, another by the Dustwella Marsh Inn, and also on a pillar overlooking the Uldaman Cave entrance. And when you approach any of them, they just say, "We've got friends," and then they just disappear. Like, what? Who the are these guys? Are they just an Easter egg, a clue to a hidden secret in the Season of Discovery yet to be discovered? Well, I've got a theory. Perhaps, maybe, just maybe, these characters are added by Blizzard in order to integrate the Men in Black franchise into the Warcraft universe. That's right, just hear me out. Will Smith and those wacky aliens are now canon. I mean, it just perfectly fits within the season too. These secret agents will use their mind-wiping device called a Neuralizer to wipe our Season of Discovery characters' minds so they unlearn all of the runes, and then they can be integrated back into the original Classic WoW servers with no memory of the new abilities that they learned during the Season of Discovery. It's such a crazy idea that it might just work.
Thunder! For the true Horde! Kneel before me! My life began under the shadow of a curse. Years ago, my father was the first orc to drink demon's blood, corrupting the Horde.
Garrosh grew up in a life of shame. His father, Grom Hellscream, leader of the Warsong clan, had led the orcs down a corrupted path. After they drank the demon's blood, they abandoned their honorable heritage and just became bloodthirsty monsters. Throughout Garrosh's young life, he was relentlessly harassed for his father's actions and how he doomed the Orcish race. To make matters worse, when the Horde was being formed, Garrosh and the Magheart Orcs were infected with a disease called the Red Pox, making them unfit to fight for the Horde. And ironically, this would save them from being corrupted by the demon blood like the rest of the Orcs. But for Garrosh, it meant he had to stew in his dishonor, never to have learned the deeds of his father on the foreign world of Azeroth.
They left for war, leaving only those of us who were sick and weak behind. It was not until I was much older I learned the truth of his redemption.
Garrosh, I have great news for you.
All your news is about the past. I hate it. I know that my bloodline is tainted. I can only hurt my people.
That isn't true. Your choices are your own. People only see your father when they look at you. But that will change.
I just don't want to hear about my father and all of his terrible crimes.
Sharing your feelings is the best way forward. Healing is a process. Take a deep breath.
Pathetic. Weak. Your bloodline is tainted. You are weak.
Enough delaying. Listen to my grandson. He has come a long way.
Garrosh, son of Hellscream. Your father lived and died as our greatest hero. He saved us all by killing the demon, Manaroth, and lifting the curse. A great burden has been lifted from my shoulders. Thank you, Thrall.
During the events of the Burning Crusade expansion, Thrall saw great promise in Garrosh. Sure, he was short-tempered and prideful, but he was in tune with Orcish traditions, something that the Orcs had lost over the years. He also wanted to honor the memory of Grom Hellscream, the one who saved Thrall's life and served as his mentor. And after finding out his father had redeemed himself, now Garrosh felt pressure to live up to his image. So Garrosh joined War Chief Thrall's advisory council. When the uncorrupted Orc entered the Dark Portal and arrived in Durotar,
What the fuck is this?
he realized it was a far cry from what he had expected. They were living in an inhospitable desert, lacking natural resources or many geographical advantages. There was better places for the Horde to settle, but ironically, War Chief Thrall valued peace above all else, which is something Garrosh vehemently disagreed with. The Horde's entire foundation was built on war. Why change that to appease other factions and let your own people suffer? Garrosh's traditional Orcish ways of thinking inflicted friction amongst the War Chief's advisory board.
Thrall invited me to join him as his advisor on the world of Azeroth. I knew I was ready to follow in my father's great legacy, but not all of Thrall's other advisors agreed. Why do you always undermine my counsel, boy? I am no boy. You weaken the Horde with compromise and capitulation. I see the Horde as it should have been. Bold and strong. Foolish Maghar. Peace is achieved through negotiation. Even children know that. We should have you cleaning the peons' boots to learn your place. I will not tolerate your disrespect, and I will not suffer weakness. Thrall should never have appointed you to advise him. Anyone could see your ignorance. Jealous words from a feeble foe. Is that how you speak to your elders? It isn't you Thrall loves, only the memory of your father. You'll pay for your insolence one day. Are you expecting an apology?
Garrosh would continue to be on the advisory board during the events of Wrath of the Lich King. When the Scourge became a rising threat once more, Thrall decided they would take a cautious approach. They should send scouting parties to Northrend, they should discuss tactics with the Alliance, and organize a careful attack plan. Garrosh hated that idea. The Maghar Orc demanded that they should just take all of their Horde armies, go crush the Alliance, then storm into Northrend and deliver the same brutal fate to the Scourge. Thrall hated the idea. The Alliance wasn't a threat, and wandering into a frozen wasteland of Northrend with no intel is a ridiculous idea. The two continued to feud against one another until they settled it in a duel in the Ring of Valor. The two traded blows until...
Pups of Orgrimmar, hear me, brash upstarts of the Horde! Tremble and know your doom!
The Scourge had invaded Orgrimmar, and with the help from the player characters, we push back the invasion, and then Thrall realizes that, Garrosh might be right. The Horde needed to act, and fast.
When the Scourge attacked, I had a chance to prove the strength of my strategy to everyone. Thrall sent me to Northrend to lead the Horde expedition and eliminate our enemies.
Garrosh was promoted to Overlord of the Warsong Offensive and established his command post at Warsong Hold. Garrosh was advised by High Overlord Saurfang, who countered Garrosh's reckless bloodlust as a commander. He told him that if Garrosh led his armies to fight the Alliance, he would be leading them down a dark path. It would be the same dark path his father had led the orcs down when they were corrupted by demon blood. And if Garrosh ignored his protests, Saurfang would kill him himself. So Garrosh begrudgingly agreed. Kind of. He promoted commanders who harnessed the same hatred for the Alliance and initiated attacks on them in Grizzly Hills, and even fought them during the climax of the war in Icecrown Citadel to defeat the Lich King. Despite this, Garrosh was a firm believer in honorable combat and refused to fight the Alliance if they were locked in battle with the Scourge. If they were going to defeat the Alliance, it would be on equal footing. This respect for honor can also be seen in Warsong Hold, where they have Alliance deserters imprisoned in filthy pig pens as punishment for their cowardice. Garrosh appears in various scenes in Wrath of the Lich King, where his main character trait is being a hot-headed asshole who only wants to defeat the Alliance. But by the end of the expansion, the Scourge was defeated and the Horde armies returned to Kalimdor, and Garrosh was considered a hero for his leadership. He was bestowed with his father's former weapon, Gorehowl, for his efficient, if somewhat problematic, display of leadership during the war.
This will prove useful. All will fall in the name of Hellscream for the Horde!
Well, I guess you can't solo Kellerist. That's the one guy I was hoping. It's like, can I solo him?
But unfortunately, these times of celebration were short-lived. The lands the Horde lived in were dry of resources, and they were on the verge of a famine. The elements had been disturbed, and Durotar had become under distress. These natural disasters disturbed supply lines